A couple of things. Number one, policy that is based in any way, shape, or form on any religious beliefs does not belong in any school. This is a public school for all students, regardless of their religion, race, sexual identity, any other identifying feature that they might have. We have to welcome every single one of our students. And I've heard a lot about the safety of girls. I'm a girl. I absolutely grew up afraid, and I've said this before in a meeting. We have to always be thinking about the possibility of sexual assault, but to think for a second that you have been taught that you are more likely to be assaulted by a trans person is disgusting. That is not accurate information in any way, shape, or form. You are more likely to be sexually molested, assaulted, whatever, by a straight man. It sounds to me like we are really concerned about the behavior of men and behavior of boys. They need to be taught to control their biological urges, because that is not an excuse. It is not an excuse for any type of sexual assault. And I don't care what kind of policy we have. You guys are in a terrible position, because no matter what you decide, you're going to piss off a whole lot of people, and you're going to be sued from one side or the other. And this is awful. You are in a terrible position. But this is not, we should not be demonizing a group of students who are just trying to survive and live. And they were not groomed or indoctrinated to become gay or lesbian, just as you were not indoctrinated to become straight. That is not a thing. Let's be honest. If that was true, then we'd all have straight people, because they are inundated constantly with heteronormative relationships everywhere we go. So stop pretending that this is like something that we're doing to kids. This is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. We need to protect our students, 100%. That's every single one of our students. We cannot ask our trans students to go into a bathroom that's going to make them uncomfortable. But you know what? There are things that we can do to make every bathroom more private. No one likes the stupid gaps around the doors. We could fix that. We can put curtains in bathrooms or the curtains or doors and whatever in locker rooms. There are things we can do. I've suggested before, close down every bathroom we have and put a bunch of blue porta potties out there. Probably stop the kids from vaping as well. The kids that are having issues and don't want to go into bathrooms, it's not because of you said it yourself, the very few students who are trans. That's not the person. And if you have taught your kid to be afraid of trans person, shame on you. Absolutely, this is not appropriate. And the behavior that we have, adults, the way that we're talking to each other, not appropriate. We can fix these issues in many other ways besides discriminatory practice. Thank you.
Ms. Burke.
Now, before I get into my speech about this honestly egregious proposal, I think it's important to know what it means to agree to disagree with someone. Now, I have many disagreements with how many of the members of this community live their lives, but despite my disagreements with their lifestyles, I don't advocate for policies that oppress them. But this type of policy drafting being considered here today is an example of that same type of oppression. And I believe it is because some of the people behind the dais care more about pushing their religious agendas by spouting Bible verses and letting their storybook version of a God into the conversation, rather than ensuring the rights of some of the most vulnerable students in the district are protected. However, I think it's really important that we talk about the case of Adams versus St. Johns County School Board from Florida, in which a Floridian school district attempted to enact an almost identical policy to the one being requested that would restrict bathrooms, and as a result was confronted with numerous lawsuits and a federal appellate court judgment that the policy was not only unconstitutional, but placed an undue burden on transgender students. But if the high risk of lawsuits doesn't push you to vote for no on this type of proposal, then maybe perhaps the facts will. Because a 2019 study done by Harvard determined that transgender students are 36% more likely to be sexually assaulted in a bathroom with members of their own biological sex. Let me repeat that in slightly simplified language. Young minor girls and boys aren't the ones who are going to be sexually assaulted in bathrooms and locker rooms when restrictions like this go into effect. The transgender students are. Therefore, I think we should call this type of policy proposal what it is: hateful and transphobic. I have no doubt in my mind, though, that some of the members of this board and of this community would rather push for the marginalization of the district's own students rather than protect them. So with that, please vote no on this very discriminatory proposal. Thank you.
Tonight, I come before you with a heavy heart and a very deep concern for the future of our district. This proposed policy to limit bathroom and locker room use based on biological sex is not only discriminatory, but it also goes against the very essence of our district's motto: every student, every day, prepared to shape tomorrow. We cannot prepare our students for the future if we do not embrace diversity and inclusivity. As a district, we must uphold the rights of every student regardless of their gender identity. To use the bathroom or locker room that aligns with their gender identity, to do otherwise would be to deny them their fundamental rights to dignity and respect. Transgender students already face enough challenges in their daily lives. They face higher rates of bullying, discrimination, and harassment, which can have a detrimental effect on their mental health and academic performance. And by you implementing a policy that discriminates against them, we're sending a message that they're not welcome in our schools, that they're not valued, and that they do not belong. As a district, we must do better than this. We must lead by example and show that we are a district that values diversity, inclusivity, and the rights of every student. We cannot afford to create an environment that is hostile to transgender students, or any student for that matter. So I implore each and every one of you to think through what this decision means. That when you pass this policy, we're going to have students thinking, where am I going to go to the bathroom? Not thinking about what they're going to do in their class. And so I implore you, members of the governing board, to consider the impact of your decision on the lives of our students. Our district's motto is not just a catchphrase, but I hope it's a guiding principle that we must strive to uphold every single day. So let us live up to this motto, ensure that every student feels welcome, valued, and respected in our schools. So I urge you to vote no.